I've definitely have heard enough from Pango players like Luki and all these people who like to play the hero, and they've said enough that the counters are able to be played around.
Yeah.
So I think it's something like if Pango buys his blink and whatever. I don't know what build he likes. I know since they buffed diffusal blades, I've seen a lot of Pangos running around with that and playing that sort of build. However, if you were gonna go the more classic like Yule's blink, you can get into the backline as Pango and be away from your team to the point where Grim ult won't matter. It's all about playing around it. So yeah, if your comfort is Pango, he's gonna be fine, or he should be fine.
I look forward to seeing just how fine he's going to be on it. I mean, you guys have me nervous, but then again, I don't play Pango, so...
I don't want to make you know. No, I think that is a confidence play that makes me more confident myself in Lilgun.
Okay. When we see, you know, 4 out of these 5 heroes now picked, where would you like Lilgun's draft to end up for that last pick?
I think their damage is going to fall off. I think they just need to pick something that scales better than Kunkka. Like, I think right now you can see Talon, they banned PA, a carry, and Viper, which is more an offlaner. So I think Talon's like not sure where this Kunkka's going a bit. Like, you know, they're like, okay, this Kunkka can flex between mid, between carry. I think carry Kunkka, we saw it yesterday as well with, I think it was Fnatic when they had Raven play, the game they lost against OB Neon. I think Lilgun just needs something. Scales better, farms better. Oh, I mean, Kunkka farms well, but just something that's going to dish out more damage.
Something nice and sturdy as well. Lilgun are really lacking on save. I know they have the run buff and Nightmare to some degree, but if Storm is going in, they don't really have anything to protect right now. It's a little scary, especially when you have like Grim combo on top of that, like an Inkswell Storm Spirit zipping in on you with like an IO Tiny coming in hard. Like it seems like when Talon get on you, you're kind of like boned. And they're really relying on the counter initiation from Pango.
Yeah, the carry, like the life steal type carries banned out. Razor, similar thing. I guess like I'm trying to think which other ones are even possible. Like there's like the Wraith King where you've got the double life maybe to play around, but I don't think there's anything like glaring that stands out that looks amazing for Lilgun.
Maybe they could take a Dusa. I'm not sure what the carry matchup is against Tiny, but she's someone that won't die from a first jump.
Is there anything that stands out for you on Talon then? If you're kind of not too sure for Lilgun.
They're looking for KPs here. I guess they could be running off lane Tiny. I don't think that's the case. We'll find out soon enough. But I think they're just looking for that, you know, kind of classic KP off lane hero. Tide looks okay to me, just because you know all these stuns and roots you can kind of crack and off and still get off your spells, get off your ravage. Other than that, I think. Just was Sanking even still in the pool?
Just Omni Knight Lamal. Just go full in.
Yeah. Protect your buddies.
Yeah, like Tiny go forth and win.
Yeah.
You get gripped.
Nice.
No way.
I love it.
Oh, so good. Okay. Yeah, I'm down for it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're all in for Talon over there?
Like, it's a super straightforward draft concept. Your IO Storm probably going to be the ones making plays together. Your Tiny farms it up, and then you walk down lanes with IO, Omni Knight, and yeah, easy.
Easy. I'm still impressed that you picked that. What could be an easy pick for Lilgun though? You know, now that they see that Omni come out.
They can pick a carry or a mid tier. They can do whatever they want. I would. If you have this Omni and IO, this is a game where you really need to have something that can get on the back, and Kunkka is not that type of hero, so you need your other core to do it desperately. Like, Pango can jump the back line. This does invite problems, by the way, with Grimstroke. Like we said, if Pango goes on the back line by himself, it's fine, but if you need someone else to also try and get on the Omni and IO, then you get linked together, and then it becomes a problem. So it's kind of tricky, but I'm not quite sure. PA's gone as well. She's like the best for that. Back in the day, Spectre was the big backline jumper.
Disappeared hero.
Don't know where she is.
Whoa, Huska.
Huska.
This hero is back in this patch. It has been doing very well. They don't have any like save for it or anything to like truly buff it up. I don't hate it, but at the same time, the hero doesn't succeed when it doesn't really have those kind of, you know, healing or save type heroes with it. But at the same time, like, it's a hero that can just crush the lane. Husker against like Omni in lane sounds brutal.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of broken away a little bit from needing protection just because they gave him like the magic resistance back. He is just so tanky and hard to kill. He's a beast. I fully believe in Huskar this patch. I'm very scared of it.
Well, look, Huskar might not be a familiar face in draft, but two familiar faces are Mike and John, and they're going to be joining us and giving us our thoughts. Our thoughts?
Yes, give me my thoughts.
Our thoughts on this draft. No, please give us your thoughts on this draft, John.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen KP play Omni Knight in maybe years now. I can't remember the last time, perhaps on TNC. So it's been a while, but it's something he knows. I'm liking Talon's draft. I am scared of the Lilgun Husker. That is one of their specialty cheese picks. And who knows if they're going to be able to pierce through. I think Talon has enough physical damage to deal with it, but can be risky in that early to mid game.
This time around, I have faith in Lilgun. They got the cheese pick. That's all that matters. They've got Pos 1 Husker. I think this time around, it's going to work out. And quite frankly, I mean, what does Omni IO even do? I mean, these are two garbage heroes anyway.
Zero damage.
No, 0 damage. Exactly right. Lilgun's got this in the back.
KP played Omni Knight 14 days ago.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Still fresh in the brain. Only 2 weeks.
It's a lot of years. A lot of years pass in 2 weeks.
Well, look, I'm excited for it. I haven't seen it before, but I will leave you guys with yet another question. What would win, a hammer or a spear?
Spear probably. It's much further range. Yeah. I
Can't throw a hammer, yeah.
I mean, that's true, but what if you deflect it with the spear?
Well, we'll never know. But we do want to know your opinion, Mike and John, as you guys head into game number 2 for Lilgun and Talon.
Go on, John. Spear, hammer, which one would you prefer, sir? Interesting questions here, of course.
It's an interesting one. When it comes down to the historic use of the weapons, I think the spear is superior. You know, you look at medieval warfare, long pointy things were always the standard weapon for a lot of those fights. I do like the blunt force trauma of a hammer, though. Make short work of any armor you have, because it's crushing force, not piercing force. So I like hammers more, but for most people, spears will work out better, Mike.
Thank you for that historical lesson, John. I was trying to set you up for some kind of joke, but I appreciate the fact that you know too much about history. Thank you, John.
I mean, think about it. You know, lances were the most common weapon in medieval Europe, and I believe in medieval era in Asia. You know, those were the most common weapons in, say, the Qing army or whatever. So, spears are pretty strong, Mike.
Are you ready to run?
Thank you for that, John. I do like myself a hammer, though, if I'm perfectly honest, John. I like to crush my enemies. No need to snap them. I want them crushed.
Exactly.
Anyway,
I hope we see KP crush this time. You do have the Hammer of Purity, so you do use the hammer directly, not just for your right clicks now. Last time around, it wasn't really integrated into his spell kit. I guess Valve really wanted to bring that thematic tie-in for Omni, and I'm keen to see KP. I mean, he did play it recently, but in the games we've casted, I don't think you and I have seen it in a game of his from casting in a while. So I want to be refreshed in what KP can do in this hero, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair, one thing I do remember about those games is he was very good on this Omni Knight. So, you know, all jokes aside, I'm sure we've got something spectacular to watch, as we do have a bit of a fight breaking out towards the top side. Hugh trying to body block for the bounty rune, and is going to be able to get it. That'll be a 3-for-1, but he may have given his own life away for this, as he is going to give First Blood back the way of Kishka. You tell me, John, would you rather the bounty rune or would you rather the First Blood?
First Blood. I mean, it's a really big pickup for Lilgun. It should enable Kishka to just keep up the regen game if he needs, keep up the sentry games if he wants to open up the camps or continuously block the camps. And that's just a good EXP spike now for 11. The Pangolier up against the Tiny Lane. Melee matchup for Pangolier feels really nice. You can always apply good laning pressure with a shield crash and swash down the line. You have really good control in this top lane from the side of Lilgun. So I expect this to be a lot tougher for Savage in comparison to the Dusa, where he was just standing back and farming. This time around, he has to put himself in some slight danger of being harassed out if he does go for the CS.
Of course. And of course, down to the bot lane as well, John. KP and Hyde against Ace 12 and 4-2-3 now. I love the fact that they've gone for the Husker. Like, we do see this being run by Lilgun at times. It does seem like with this kind of draft, Lilgun should be able to just kind of overtake and snowball throughout the mid-game and maybe put a pace on Talon they can't keep up with. Do you think 4-2-3 has a good game this game around, John?
I think he is set up for success. Like, the lane matchup up against Omni Knight is a little bit more even. It's not the most dominant lane for a Husker, because pure damage is going to completely ignore your passive in this case, so you can't really use that magic resist that was reapplied to Husker, which I think was the point Parker was making. You heard no damage. It's pure damage, Parker was saying, Mike, and The Omni Knight provides you a lot of that. Not no damage. What do you mean?
Oh, all right, John. Have it your way. If any SEA pub players, don't choose this hero until we know it's good, please. It's not enough damage, in my opinion. So 4-2-3 has plenty of damage on that Husker. Still mid lane. Of course, you've got the Storm versing the Kunkka this time around. Now, last time Makoto did dominate up until giving away that first blood. I'd say this time in this matchup, the Kunkka is a pretty difficult matchup for the Storm. Would you agree, John?
It's got a lot more presence in comparison to the Ember. I think it's harder for Makoto to just use the Vortex, Remnant, Overload, Double Overload play as much against an Ember, because you can always hit back with the Tidebringer. But early level Tidebringer is not the lowest cooldown. You know, you kind of need that level 3, level 4 to be really able to apply the harassment, and that still gives Makoto an opening. You can see the CS slightly ahead for Makoto, not as dominant. So this should be much more playable for Sanctity for sure. Rune Control is also much more important for Makoto in comparison to Sanctity. You can always get the XTP home. Not the same for Storm. He definitely needs to snowball off Rune Control here.
1-0 so far, 2.5 minutes in here. Decent start for both sides. And Savage on that pos 1 Tiny. Of course, always a treat to watch his carry, though I must admit, John, we haven't seen so much Tiny from Savage as of late. Lots of Medusa, not so much Tiny, but see what he does opt for. I mean, he's going for that standard Echo Saber Silver Edge build. Pretty standard stuff. He's got the IO behind him. Got an Omni Knight to protect him as well. Just wonder whether he gets given the time to be able to farm up to those items, where he can be a real powerhouse this game.
Yeah, you can just carry through. I'm keen to see at the 15-minute mark if you will go for the shards. We've seen some players stall that out a bit. We've seen, I think in particular, Jackie go for a blink at that timing instead. So I think for Savage, the play is really just to keep building up. Shards can be a lot more beneficial. I don't think you have the pressure to get that blink initiation because you have a Storm and an IO. So we'll see how much more he can get out. And the lanes, as you mentioned, Mike, going really even. But you can see 4-2-3 taking a lot more damage out from KP. That pure damage is ramping up. And you have to remember, with an IO, if you play around with that with the overcharge, that's pure damage being amped up. So you don't even have Hyde in that lane yet, as he is trying to stack, and that was blocked off really nicely by Ace 12. But you can see the value in the Omni already in that laning phase, keeping the Husker down a little bit more, Mike.
Yeah. I love the fact that Heavenly Grace is still pretty busted ability when you think about it. Like, it's not as broken as it was, but it's still pretty damn strong. We'll see it come into play later on, though. I want to see more of this Hammer of Purity from KP. Once he does get a bit more levels up. So Ace 12 on the Bane. He's going for a small camp pull. Looks like Savage was taking a bit of damage there from 11. Q, though, does get caught with a Bushwhack. Avalanche is going to be there to help, though, from Savage. He's not going to allow them to try and go for that kill onto the Grimstroke. Does protect his pos 5, and that'll allow Q to go ahead and salve up and reset. Looks like he will try for the small camp pull, but you will have an interruption there from Kishka on the Hoodwink. Not allow. Oh, never mind, Q. Still able to get the pull off. So one of the creeps did stick around and just kept hitting him over and over again. 11 will intercept, though, and probably just get even more fun out of this anyway.
Nothing
We're
stands
pretty
in
happy
my
with the
way.
progress of the Pangolier here. Top in CS right now. So 11's going to hit that good timing on the Spirit Vessel and Blink, although...
Inkswell gonna land, though. A nice pushback from Kishka will slow down Savage, but he's still getting out plenty of damage. Just not enough once the shield crash is active. Savage won't bother chasing him down any further.
Step lively now.
It's a very quiet game, though, John. 1 kill so far. The Sanctity and Makoto, neither one really making rotations quite yet, though to be fair, they have only just hit level 6. So not too much for them to do quite yet. And props to Makoto, John. I mean, I said he was going to have a harder matchup this game around, but he's still top of the CS board.
You just don't have that kill threat because Kunkka can hit back a lot harder and he does have more strength. So it is more difficult to look for kills, but in terms of farm, it's still static. You can still work this out. You do manage to get the regen here from Makoto as well. I think the one thing Talon's definitely not emphasizing as much is the IO combination with Storm, and the panel picked up on that a little bit. With the choices they have, it doesn't feel like they're going to be prioritizing Makoto as much, and we're not seeing the early movements out with the Tether overcharge at this point. So that is giving Lilgun some room to breathe, as they are getting able to really work the lanes out a lot more and go off to a stronger start than we saw in Game 1.
Yeah. Get a scan out here. Gonna find Q at that top lane. The Makoto has also rotated on that Storm, so looking for a gank attempt here in this off lane of Lilgun, but not gonna find the opening quite yet. You'll find 11 being very, very cautious here on this Pango not to give the opening away. He won't get caught out this time. But you look at that net worth board, John. Top 3 net worth right now are all on the side of Talon. So, you know, last game I made the comment where Lilgun seemed like they were winning out every single lane, but, well, this time it's kind of the exact opposite. It feels like Talon's come out on top of every lane. Apart from maybe the off lane, but even then, KP is still kind of bouncing back and forth with that net worth.
Yeah, I mean, he's still holding on to that solo lane really well and down mid.
Jump in. Sanctity gonna throw the boat out to make sure he remains protected, and Makoto is actually gonna cop the boat there, but it won't matter too much. Hyde will heal him up. The boat was enough to allow him to disengage though on that Kunkka.
Not looking to really push the envelope too hard. I think they respect the durability on Lilgun. These are really tanky heroes. On the Kunkka, Husker, Pangolier, so the only realistic choices you have to gank right now are the supports, and they've been just working the side lanes. So you don't really have that opening anymore for Mikoto to just snowball off, leading to this much more passive game. It does feel like the passiveness that will favor Talon, because their scaling is a lot stronger. I mean, there is room to grow on a Kunkka, on a Husker, but you're up against Tiny. Down the line, this Tiny level 3 grow up, all the armor, all the damage in the world, the EHP in the world as well. It becomes really hard to get that burst going.
Ace 12 gonna get caught here by Makoto. You've got Sanctity to try and help out with the torrent, but that's about all he can do right now because he does not have the boat to throw out. Instead, though, they'll try to turn and re-engage back in onto the Storm, but a nice zip away. He does avoid the X-Pac timing, and the Rolling Thunder will be completely wasted here by 11. So he'll keep chasing them down, but the timing is just not there. Very nice zip timing, though, from Makoto.
4-2-3.
In fact, 4-2-3. Oh, all right. He goes from surviving the gank to just rotating down bot and kills off 4-2-3. That's a very unexpected movement from Talon.
Yeah, they just find a good angle. They make it work. They make use of that jump potential once more from the Storm really well. And, you know, I'm really appreciating the Omni Knight there, Mike. Like, the pure damage, again, just removes any doubt on killing off the Husker. Because his Berserker's blood just isn't going to save him. That's an Omni Knight with his damage. Mikoto's damage kind of tickled, but when the purification came out, it made short work. And you've already got a pretty slow lane here for the Husker. You know, it's not like he's a flash farmer that can just dip into the jungle. In fact, that jungle feels a little bit riskier with some of the creeps up now. So this slower start for Lilgun, it's kind of the same story as game 1. It feels like they might need to wait for some level 6s up in their supports again. Look for the Bane Grip, look for the Sharpshooter coming out from Kishka, and start to play with some of the combinations you have, because right now, Talon, they don't have big teamfight spots, but they can run you down.
Oh, 11 is going to be able to swashbuckle away. Ace 12 was right behind him with the Nightmare, just in case he needed it. But again, very aggressive movement coming up from Talon. The top lane, Savage, was getting jumped by 4-2-3, but he's just fine with the Avalanche. We'll walk right back towards that tier 1 tower and is fine. And it's one of the very scary things about this IO pick from Talon. Like, you never feel safe ganking across the map because there's always the relocate potential from Hyde. Though he hasn't at level 6 yet anyway. Q, mid lane, has been caught out. Bushwhack will be there onto the Grimstroke, but he'll go for the Inkswell Fairy Fire and turn right back around onto Kishka, who does get stunned up. Now Makoto's in onto Sanctity. Can they get the Kunkka kill though? It doesn't seem like it yet. Meanwhile, Kishka's still trying to escape, but he won't make it out. He does go down. And Makoto, he's been perma-stunned up, but another great zip timing out of the X-Torrent, and he will survive. As they do get Kishka. Unfortunately for Lilgun, John, they will get nothing.
Yeah, they couldn't even find Hyde. He just manages to tether away to the creep wave, stays perfectly fine. They get punished for committing onto Grimstroke. It's not like that was even a bad play coming out from Lilgun. It's just that they lack burst damage, and it kind of goes back to that point where your supports aren't at their prime. You do have level 6 on Kishka. So you have some of that burst with a Sharpshooter, as the panel also pointed out, but do you really want to commit that onto Grimstroke? Feels like they've got to be able to hunt bigger targets. The safest bet is likely Mikoto. If they can kind of repeat that and just lock down the Storm, they've got the damage now.
4-2-3. This is a very vulnerable moment here for 4-2-3. Ace 12, though, does break the smoke, but it doesn't matter. Makoto has found the target he wanted. They knew he was there somewhere. Ace 12 now, just trying to do his job, is going to die anyway. There's a nice smoke break, a nice position from the Bane, but Makoto, he just has no fear right now, John.
He's feeling great right now. Top of the net worth board. 3 kills on his plate. No deaths. They're getting a lot of space out for Savage, getting this aggression off as well. So they're enabling their Tiny while also getting aggression out. And for Lilgun, this is not the play so acceptable, though they will rotate onto KP.
They're gonna try. He does have that Heavenly Grace, but it's plenty of damage to come out. He has still survived, but not for long. There's only so much you can do with 3 heroes around you, and KP is gonna drop. In the meantime, the rest of his team, so they are gonna try and focus the mid lane, but they don't really have a siege creep, so it doesn't seem like the damage is really gonna be there. Lilgun, good news for them, catching up that pulse 3 Omni.
It's probably the best kill they can hope for across the course. The Omni Knight's most susceptible to alter damage. Even if you had Guardian Angel up, he did have enough magical damage to get to work there. So they do punish KP, but I still feel like Talon's getting more out of these trades just by virtue of Savage farming. We talked about the core matchup between Husker and Tiny. Husker can farm the jungle pretty well. Your Tiny still has really good wave clear. He has the tree grab, he has Avalanche maxed out. Doesn't take too long to work the camps, to work the creep wave. Whereas for a Husker, it's a little bit more effort. And it's not as quick. So Talon's just getting more from these kinds of plays. I think we have to see Lilgun, again, just apply a little bit more pressure. Maybe waiting out the grip now on Ace 12, almost at that 6 mark. Once you do have that Fiend's grip on the Bane, that's when things can really start to get interesting. That's when you can get a good jump onto the Storm, and they will smoke up now.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Big smoke up here from Lilgun. They'll try to rotate down towards the bot side of the map and see if they can gank Makoto at the very least on that Storm, but they might need to aim down hide first because he does have that relocate available, and they're going to be able to find him now. KP, he's left at the wrong moment, so they'll get the IO down. It seems they've locked him out, but they won't be able to catch anyone else. The Omni IO is gone, but it seems like they'll be satisfied with the IO. As Ace 12 is going to try and protect that mid lane in the meantime. Fiend's grip is there though. He's got the Omni Knight trapped up in Kishka. He'll move in with the breaker. And he does get him down. Nice sharpshooter. Soulbind was there from Q, but it will not protect his own life. The Sanctity is going to X him back. There'll be another kill to go towards the way of Lilgun.
And that's the aggression we need to start seeing. They make great use of that grip. They start applying pressure onto the mid-tier 1. Talon, just no response coming through. And even if they did, it just doesn't feel like they've got as much control on their supports this time around. So the saving plays is really mainly on just relocate, maybe getting some flash healing out from the IO. But you do find the objective you want now on Lilgun. Pressuring in that mid, maybe not going all the way. Sieging is a bit slow for this lineup. But there's a little bit more time for Talon to repair that lane. Savage is still finding some really good farm. The lead's still up at 4K, but it's much more even. 5-5. You're not too far behind on Sanctity. 4-2-3 still set to pick up that halberd timing and still be a massive issue for the Tiny in terms of cutting off that DPS. So we just need to see Lilgun kind of balance around with that sort of aggression. Next time around, when grip's up, you want to see them go for another smoke play.
Let the fun begin.
Still a bit of a group up in that mid lane, Lilgun. Really just trying to protect that mid-tier 1 tower. The life's been very hard for 4-2-3 on this Husker, regardless of these previous engagements. Just not having the greatest time keeping up in terms of net worth. And well, there's going to be a stage where Savage is just a little bit too challenging to deal with, I think. Especially once you have that silver edge up, the break is probably going to prove to be a bit too much for the Husker. Lilgun, they are going to smoke up again.
Dire's top tower.
With that Radiant jungle they go. Q will be in position to break the smoke, and it looks like he's going to have to tank the gank for the team. So the boat will fly in. That should be more than enough. With the follow-up, though, no, never mind. Hyde is there with the relocate. Even with the sharpshooter, it does not prove to be enough, and Lilgun would not even be able to get the support Grimstroke down.
No, they don't even hang around to clean up the supports. They just completely back off, respecting the jump potential that could come true from Mikado, who's hanging around the bot lane. So, good breakout from Q. Again, just stalling the game as much as possible to get Savage's farm up, to get Mikado's farm up. And Lilgun, this is around the time where they need to be aggressive. This is the time when their supports are really strong, when the combinations from the Kunkka is a lot of good burst damage to handle the side of Talon. But as they lose time, you have a big issue with that Tiny coming up here.
Ace 12. Just trying to avoid Savage, who is moving in right now. that Bane, and it should be a nice easy kill for him as Ace-12 has no chance of surviving that. Avalanche toss coming in. Rest of Talon just hanging around the mid lane once again, just protecting that T1 mid tower. And Lilgun, they'll happily take the time to keep that farm going. Again, the problem I have is, John, 4-2-3, there's no way he keeps up in farm.
No.
So is there a certain item you're waiting for him to start moving?
Halberd into BKB, that's more than likely going to be enough. Perhaps just a Halberd is enough to give them some confidence, but the BKB feels almost necessary for the Husker, because you do have a lot of burst or control, counter control coming through from Talon, and it's going to take a little bit more for that. I think considering the pacing of this game, just the Halberd should be enough for 43 to jump in, because as you mentioned, they're really not finding as much farm. Like, we're just seeing Talon on their 2 cores out farming the entirety of Lilgun. They have kept KP down. The Omni Knight doesn't really need much in this game. He's just 11. A buffer disarmer.
Rolling Thunder, speaking of the Omni Knight, he has been caught out, though he does get the Heavenly Grace in time, and in fact, they do miss the ulti there from the Hoodwink, because now the jump is there. Makoto will go right in onto Ace-12, taking down the Bane. Meanwhile, 4-2-3 trying to deal with Hyde, might almost have him, but a big avalanche out from Savage is going to mean the Huskers in trouble, but he tries to armlet toggle, but it's not enough. It is not enough in the end as they continue. Hyde's back in the team fight, keeping Makoto alive. Meanwhile, Ace-12 trying to hold somebody down, but nothing's working out for Lilgun as they are falling apart. They do at least get KP on the Omni, but that's about all they're going to get. Because Talon, they're looking for a bit more. Meanwhile, Savage will be X-backed into a torrent, but he's still quite healthy, and Makoto back in on Kishka, has found another. And that'll be the Hoodwink to drop. Lilgun, they try their best, but it's just not enough. And look at Makoto. He's going for more now. Onto Ace-12. He'll get another kill. 5-0-4. I mean, Makoto's on fire this series, John.
Oh, he really is. Kind of replicating that performance from game 1. That's basically a team wipe for 2, considering the buybacks in this game and the diebacks that came out. And you have a major problem now with Savage. Like, yeah, you've got the disarm, the damage is going to come through from everyone else in that period, and they just keep going for more.
Yeah, can you say Arcane Rune Jump? Because that's exactly what Makoto just got, so he can zip right back in for more. They've got one, they've got a second, it looks like it's Kishka. He just got back into the team fight, but he's going to drop again. In the meantime, Sanctity dropping a bit too low, but they got Savage. They've got the Tiny down. Can they find more? They'll try onto KP. Makoto, they're looking to go back in with the Inkswell, but no, he's low on mana. He'll leave it at that. And that, I mean, although you still lose quite a few bodies there for Lilgun, they do find the Tiny, but no, never mind. Never mind. They found Sanctity on the Kunkka. And Makoto just reading the movement way too well, and KP just gives them the tip. Makoto straight up carrying Talon this game too.
Oh, he's just going ham. Just diving around. He knows he's got a lot of protection with the Io and the Omni Knight to heal him up and give him the Heavenly Grace if need be. And they're still not backing off. Like, that's the beauty of this lineup from Talon. They don't have big cooldowns to really wait for. Soulbind, Guardian Angel, I guess, but not really necessary for these smaller skirmishes. So they can just maintain that pressure onto the mid, cut off that bottom jungle from Lilgun entirely. Now all of the heroes of Lilgun are forced to play triangle, play top jungle, and just not respond.
Yeah, never mind. Makoto, he won't go deep for it. He'll go for the creep wave. Start tensing those butt cheeks is Kishka. Seeing that zip in, and no, never mind. He's found him. He went back for the next creep wave. Makoto's picked up his 9th now. It just seems like child play right now for the Storm Spirit, John. Absolute child's play.
Oh yeah, he's just cleaning up. Like, the control, and Lilgun does have that control, right? Like, they've got the Bane, they've got Rolls, they've got the Bushwhack, but Mikoto's just so patient with his positioning. They're using KP as bait once more up front, they're using Q as bait in the Grimstroke, and allowing Mikoto just all these clean angles to come in through. And Lilgun are trying to get some space up top, and slowly pushing in. KP will be there to respond. It really feels worrying for Lilgun. I think just outside of just their own scaling, the combinations from Talon gets really strong towards late game.
Q may be caught out now. Maybe Lilgun can get a bit of revenge as Q is still trying to run, but eventually 11 is going to be able to pick him up. It's not the greatest kill in the world for Lilgun, but it's certainly something. It's just something they need. A hell of a lot more of, in fact. This game 2 has just not been going their way whatsoever. They can find a few more of those, maybe they can claw their way back into this game too.
Yep. Just need to rinse and repeat on anything they can find. Not the biggest kill on the support, but it does allow them to take a top tier 1, open up the top jungle a little bit more, so being shut down from bot doesn't hurt them as much. It should allow them to get that catch-up pull. We are seeing some build-up coming through. Sanctity, he's got his BKB for a while, down to 8 seconds of course, and he's going into the Orchid. So that could be the turning point. Just Orchid up Mikado in the middle. If Heavenly Grace isn't off cooldown, the Storm's going to be very vulnerable in the middle, and he should be able to get the control there.
Yeah, Vortex out, but the X-Pack is there for the Kunkka, so he's perfectly fine. They're just kind of haunting the side of Lilgun, as we are going to have an immediate smoke up again here from Talon. Lilgun, though, they are going to hold their triangle for now, and that's a very safe position for them, as they'll smoke up themselves. Smoke on smoke situation. KP does break the smoke on Ace 12, but doesn't see him in the Roshan pit. Meanwhile, Kishka having a look around for a bushwhack will break his own smoke now, so both teams should know where each other are. Lilgun, do you want to force the fight? It doesn't seem like it. And I wouldn't recommend it either, John, because Makoto's found a DD rune now. That's problematic.
Yeah, it's going to open up even more aggression for Makoto. We've seen him do that multiple times. He's very close to his BKB though, Mike. So I think for Talon, maybe a little bit more patience. Wait for the BKB on the Storm to line up with Savage's BKB being finished up here and go aggressive then. The spell immunity is going to force a big choice coming out from Ace 12. Who's your grip priority? If you go for Savage, opens up Mikado. If you go for Mikado, Savage just does all the work in the middle of the fight.
It's tough. It's a very tough game for Ace 12. It's one of those Bane games where there's so much value in who you grip, but then again, you've got to make the decision as to who you grip, and there's plenty of ways to catch the Bane this game, so it's just not easy. Maybe once he has that Aether Lens up, things become a little bit easier for positioning purposes for Ace 12, but against the Storm IO, it's really hard. Still, Roshan is up, John. Lilgun look to want to try and, I suppose, contest this, as they can't really allow Talon to take it with this lead they have. You do have a Husker after all as well, so you can take Roshan fairly easily. Problem is, I don't think Talon's going to allow them to go for that Roshan for free.
No, definitely not. They can contest it really well. And they still have decent influence around Rosh Pit and their own jungle. Lilgun are in the area to punish an overcommitment though. Like, they have a good ward watching this position on Talon. They can look to make a turn if they want to, but they do have low ground. So that might put them at a bit of a disadvantage in terms of gas closing down line. And they will just play it safe. Kato just playing tag again with our Pangolier there. This slowdown is really just to the benefit of Talon though. Like, think about late game here. You've got level 3 Grow already in Savage. You've got Heavenly Grace. That's what? How much plus strength? That's plus 38 base strength. On a strength hero that does right click damage, Mike. With a lot of armor. It's insanity.
It certainly is, John, and so is Makoto right now, jumping into 11 for the easiest kill of his life. And again, they're into that triangle, and I think that might be Roshan time here for Talon. Without the Pango up for 40 seconds, John, it's so hard to find in the Roshan pit. And they'll get started. Savage, he'll get it done himself. Makoto will eventually jump in and help out. I think you've got to fight this as Lilgun, but again, without that Rolling Thunder, it's just so hard. There you go. Bushwhack going to catch out two. Torrent boat will be there, so a lot of damage to fly out. KP will juke it out. They do at least land the arrow there onto Savage, but he's still fine to keep fighting Roshan, though. Sanctity going to pop his BKB and try to rush in, but Makoto, he's got the Bane again. Ace 12's gone. Sanctity, he's running out of BKB as KP gets tossed in, slows him down. Torrent is out, but it doesn't matter. Another bushwhack from Kishka, but there's going to be no follow-up, and Roshan should definitely go the way of Talon, as they even found the hoodwink.
Yeah, I mean, it was a valiant effort. They got a good combination out. Your hoodwink actually doesn't do much against timing. The burst damage is good. The break is meaningless, because you don't actually break Grow. It's somehow you still keep your armor. So he's still going to be tanky. He has 3.4k HP on Savage. That's without Heavenly Grace up. You actually did want to burst KP. I think if KP fell, he didn't manage to get his Guardian Angel for the follow-through on that fight, you had a much better shot at maybe snagging Rush, but that's the issue for Lilgun. This lineup just doesn't have a natural jump in outside of Blink roll from 11, and he wasn't in the area for that fight, Ace 12.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to deny the Arcane Root. Even if he dies, I really do feel like that Oh, hold on a minute, where they gone? Oh, wait a minute, 423's getting caught out.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
would you look at that, Jonathan? I mean, what the hell is that?
Almost coming.
And he's
You
got
love
a
to see
regen
it.
rune. Oh, he found it. Oh, come on now. So he goes back to the same position with that relocate, and he gets a regen instead of an arcane rune.
You love to see it, Mike, don't you? You feel like they're just gonna go for the Bane. They realize that they could still clean up the Bane with just a Grimstroke. Back off, find a kill across the map, come back in, regen up, and go for more. Mikado is still going ham. 11-0-8 on the Storm right now, just having a superb game. Lilgun for their part. This is the point where this lineup feels like the scaling's not going to be in. And your
Radiant's
output on the
bottom
Kunkka
tower
isn't
has fallen.
crazy. You've got Orchid, you don't have a Silver Edge for crit, you don't have anything like a Daedalus. Going for the AC next for some survivability, which is great. But the scaling of the Husker feels like it's going to be reliant on, hitting like that level 25 talent, working towards your Ags, and there's just no room to farm. And it goes back to that point again, Mike, where Husker just doesn't farm that quick anyway.
Here we go, Savage. He's onto the high ground. 27 minutes in. It's very hard to deal with Savage. Io and Omni Knight means he's going to have all the regen in the
Oh my
world, and the
God.
only way you're going to
Look
kill
at
him is
that
to
HP.
try. Yeah, look at that HP
4.7.
regen, John. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him, but he's still healing up. Fiend Ripple's there as well. Savage, he'll pop the BKB now. A big avalanche out. Ace Wall's been caught again on the Bane. He can't afford to die. He will though. There's no choice in the matter as they just wipe them out. Sanctity, no, never mind. It's just 11. It's just 11 left, and he's gonna drop. Another kill, and they call it GG. Talon Esports looking just brilliant, taking down Lilgun and John. I believe Lilgun were the favorites going into this.
I think they were, because if you consider that Tour 1, Lilgun had a grip on Talon. They were in a much better position to be favorites for that promotion onto Div 1. And Talon showing us just how great they're playing now as a team with this new lineup. You can see how happy they are. It feels like having them all on hand immediately at the start of the tour in comparison to Tour 1 where, it took them second half to get everyone together. It's working out. And they just have such great ideas in the game. Like Omni Knight offlane, like Sheepo called out. The combination with Tiny, 4.7k HP with 22 armor. The EHP is insane. You saw the sharpshooters going off. It was doing nothing. It was just tickling Savage. Like, that is just madness with an IO regen on top. Love to see it. For Lilgun, this is probably one of their toughest matchups, so I wouldn't take away too much from it. They're still a strong team. They fall back to Cheese. Didn't quite work out, but they had some great ideas, and I think it's just about refinement here.
John, before we do head off to a break, T1 got the ignition buff from White One. We did see Boom Esports getting the Alhamdulillah Beng Beng Jackie buff. Has Talon got the JohnXFire buff? Is that what's happened?
I think so, Mike. I think so. What can I say? I've just got it, Mike. I've just got it.
Well, with that, we are going to head to a short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with our lovely panel to discuss what happened in this series. See you then.
This is so sick.
Can we just go back to playing games now?
You got, 'cause I don't care if they think we're mad to be falling in love with you. I'll do
oh, I didn't see you guys there. Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that series, and I hope you enjoy our new set and also our new poses. Now you can see our whole outfits. That's right. We don't actually wear sweatpants on here. It's very surprising. But that was a great series, especially by Talon. They end up taking it against Lilgun in a 2-0 fashion. And I do have to say, they didn't ban the IO. They didn't ban.
They did not ban the IO.
They didn't ban the
They didn't ban the IO.
That was my takeaway from game one.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, game one, you lose to it, just ban it. You know, just make them play something else. And I don't know.
They didn't make them do it, and so Talon do end up getting that win. And it looked really convincing, very well executed. And like you said, they didn't have to reveal any extra strats that they didn't have to. The highlight reel is definitely going to show some of the best moments there. But for you guys, what do you think is the real turning point or the real showstopper for Talon in this match?
The real showstopper was like this moment when they first picked IO in the draft. I was like, whoa, oh my god, holy shit.
Oh, this is a 2-0 pack it up, boys.
Yeah, Jesus. Honestly, I can't really pinpoint it. It's just kind of like a consistent level of high play from Talon. They're just kind of doing what they're meant to do. Even like we were saying that Omni was getting last hits out of lane. I know that Huskar doesn't necessarily like level Burning Spears to like level 3 or something now. But still, yeah, it's like your Omni's getting a lot out of the lane against Huskar.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Husker gods? Do you feel that it was exactly how you thought it was going to be?
It was one of those heroes, like, obviously everyone, I think, who's, you know, been following competitive Dota and remembers what Husker once was as this, like, you know, one of the ultimate cheese pick, particularly with the Dazzle, this crazy high magic resistance, unkillable, armlet toggling. You know, I don't think that Husker's back. It's maybe getting close to being back, but it definitely, this game itself was not a good sign. Like, this should be a good Husker game when you're laning against an Omni. Maybe you don't have that, you know, great kind of defensive support or hero to kind of buff up the Husker, but kind of agree with what she was saying. It's like, that shouldn't be a requirement to necessarily run the Husker.
Yeah, 100%. I also heard Mike and John talking about it, and they're like, you know, if you're Lilgun, this is going to be one of your bigger competitors, so don't take it to heart. But what do you want to take away from it? You know, what are you learning from it to kind of get better for the next teams that you are going to be facing up against?
Maybe learn how to play against DP or something so you can ban on
So you can ban IO.
Yeah. Or learn how to play against IO, I guess. So you can
keep banning DP.
Nah, IO, no one's ever figured out how to play against IO. Everyone bans IO.
Or ban Storm Spirit. I reckon, like, even if you let... No, there's too many combos for IO for Talon.
Yeah, I think IO gives you more to a draft than... Like, I do agree with what you said. I think DP is very obnoxious right now, but maybe, like, they just need to form openings that can combat against it. Like, I know Shadow Demon's kind of nice because he's able to just cut her health in half, which is already like a nice starting point against a DP, get the burst, so on like that. I know like Terror Blades and stuff for like long range heroes are generally really nice against DP. So I don't know. Talon have been running Drow Sniper and so on. Why can't we try and pick that up as on Lilgun?
Okay, so you think maybe teams should be looking at Talon, maybe not to beat their lineup, but adapt from some of their lineups?
Yeah, learn something from them. I think Talon so far, from the teams we've seen, are the ones kind of innovating more than others with some of their drafts. I mean, yeah, game 1, game 2, they're doing the same thing, but they busted out the Omni Knight. We aren't seeing other teams prioritize IO Storm in the first phase, so I think there's something about Talon that other teams can definitely learn from.
It is a bit of a learning curve, but do you think there's going to be anyone matching the aggression of Talon? You know, they always seem to be always on the front foot, kind of just taking over the map wherever they can. Is there a team in your eyes that matches that aggression?
I think everyone's trying to match that aggression right now. If we've learned anything from talking to any pro, it's all the, yes, go
Fighting.
aggression, go fight, go win your lane, go win mid, go.
Yeah.
And I respect that idea. I think it's good. I think it's nice that everyone's striving to do it. It's just, I'd say Talon's tools this game were just more enabling for it. When you're able to play this Storm and IO as aggressively as they can on the map because of IO, you know, maybe you do have to just take out IO, take away that, because a Storm alone or not a Storm with any other hero in the game is probably a little bit weaker than an IO.
Yeah, the thing I would hope Lilgun learn from this maybe is just to adapt within a series. Like I just find it like to me.
Yeah, if you're gonna ban the same in the first game, it doesn't work. Don't do the exact same in the second. I definitely know what you mean. It felt like there was no adaptation. It's like, come on, like surely you learn to ban something else here other than the same two things, especially for your opener, which a lot of people place importance when it comes to banning there. So I definitely get what you mean in that sort of aspect. But speaking of the IO, we liked it with the Storm Spirit, but did you like how they also utilized it with the Tiny near the end of the game there?
Yeah, I think both drafts actually complemented the carry well, because even though Io Medusa's not like, you know, a classic pairing like a Gyro or whatever, it's still super synergy. You give Medusa mana and health. It literally is like double the worth of normal regen in terms of keeping her alive. It's nice. So yeah, I think they draft really comfortably around the IO. It's definitely something that seems to be a really solid part of their drafting kit. Something you really have to respect and learn to play against.
Well, someone I respect is the winners, and we are going to have KP joining us for a winners interview. KP, thank you so much for joining us, and I got to ask straight up, the draft from you guys, you always knew what you were doing. Is this something you want to try and continue using for the rest of the DPC, always putting priority on the IO and Storm Spirit?
Yeah, I think so, but after this series, I think a lot of teams will start banning it, so probably won't be seeing much of it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask the question that you're probably not going to answer is, what solutions do you have if the IO and Storm Spirit is banned from you?
Well, that's information I can't tell you guys.
I knew it, but it was worth a shot, you know?
Yeah, it's worth.
I'm a bit curious. Yeah, okay, you can't tell us. Can you tell us how this Talon feels different to you than the Talon from the first tour?
So I feel like more of a boss in this lineup because everyone's like, you know, bit less vocal than the old team. So I feel like I have more of a captain role, which I never really had in my whole career, which I'm glad I'm making the change. I'm calling a lot. I'm like not scared of making mistakes, you know, like who cares, just man up and go, you know. Something that I've been trying to adapt to recently, which I think has worked out very well for us. And for me personally, I think I'm in a good shape right now.
Yeah, I mean, it showed you guys were really dominant in that game. I do have a question about comms then, you know, is it predominantly just you doing this shot calling?
No, I mean, in Dota games, like, there's never, like, you know, like, one or two people calling everything, but when it comes to, like, big, like, objectives, maybe I'm the one that's having the biggest voice, I guess, but overall, this team, I would say we're like a bit more chill. It's not too chaotic as, you know, typical C teams are, you know, especially like the Filipino teams, you know what they're like. But we're a bit more chill, so, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, nice to hear.
I mean, speaking of communication, how is having Q on the team? Like, how is his like English and talking and communication with you guys?
So in like the first week, I think he didn't really talk much, but I think he is doing a good job of, you know, learning English and like trying to, you know, bond with us and stuff like that. He's like listening to English music, watching Netflix, like, you know, actively trying to improve his English. So yeah, he's improving quite fast, I would say.
What are you guys doing for team bonding? Anything outside Dota?
We occasionally play board games. Besides that, we went out to eat like once or twice. That's pretty much it, I guess.
A lot of food and more games.
Do you have a favorite board game?
Not really. Just I kind of like the Mafia type games, so Mafia, Avalon, stuff like that.
Nice.
I had a question about you personally, KP. You've been obviously around Dota scene for a long, long time. Kind of one of the veterans. You know, played many TIs, got second place. Where are you as far as you mentally? Do you see yourself obviously continue to play Dota a long time? Are you still enjoying the game? You know, how do you feel about Dota like in its current state and where things are with the scene?
I mean, I'm still gonna go try my best for every TI until like, you know, just I don't know, I'm just gonna keep trying. There's really no end to it, to be honest.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's going to give it his all, gods, okay? Get off his back. He's trying, man.
Look, I'm just glad we got another Aussie here. You're the last Aussie standing in the Dota scene. So.
I don't know. I think Anna might be back. Who knows?
I hope so, yeah.
I might be leaking more than just Dota strats here, but KP, thank you so much for joining us for the interview, and congratulations again on the win.
He's gone.
He's gone. Bye.
Oh, he's back. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye, KP.
Wait, we get to do the signature wave now, but they get to join us.
That is honestly the best part of the setup.
If you're out there and you're going to be a winner's interview, make sure you wave when you get on this screen. That's all I'm going to say. But do you guys have any more closing remarks that you want to say about this series? Because it looks good. It looks great. It was nice to watch.
Yeah, I thought Talon looks amazing. So I have like super high hopes for them going forward for the rest of the DPC. If they come number 1, I would not be surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, they look super solid. It's great to hear from KP. I think he's always been someone who's like very just confident in his ideas, but never really been in that captain role. And now he's kind of like embraced it to some extent. So it feels like this Talon team is in really good hands. And I think last tour they were just a bit shaky with clash of ideas. I think Fly brought some of EG's ideas over, which clashed with some of the maybe SEA ideas as far as how to play games. I talked to Fly in one of the interviews, and he mentioned it was a bit of a struggle for them, and it seems like now they're all on the same page.
Yeah, well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing more from KP, but also definitely more from Talon as they keep going ahead in Division 2. But for now, we're going to head to a break where you will be watching some content from another player.